Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Hida, for your ability, your confidence in my ability as a my ability in forecasting the future. I wish I shared that, but anyway. First of all, who are Kraft Foods? I think the key point is, while our headquarters is in the States, as you may have gathered from my accent, I'm not American. And Kraft is essentially a global company. We have operations in nearly 100 countries. We're the second biggest food company in the world, and we have a global supply base and a global manufacturing base. Those are probably the most relevant facts here. We have a vast range of brands, many of which you've probably never heard of. We're still uncovering brands that I didn't know we had, but anyway. I just want to run through some statistics around palm oil production. And I'm aware that over the last couple of days you've probably been bombarded a bit with statistics, but I think it's important to get a sort of sense of context and about what I'm going to say. So please bear with me. So forecast global palm oil production for 2011 is in the region of 50 million tons, of which the vast majority comes out of Indonesia and Malaysia. In terms of consumption of palm oil, nearly 40% of palm oil is actually consumed in India, China, and Indonesia. The EU and the States are a relatively small proportion, and then obviously the rest of the world is a very large proportion, but that's spread over a very large number of countries. Production of sustainable palm oil obviously focused, not surprisingly, in the two principal producing countries, Indonesia and Malaysia, with significant amounts coming out of Papua New Guinea and also developing in Latin America. Now, the point I'd like to make is that demand, while production of sustainable palm oil is increasing rapidly, my argument is actually that demand for sustainable palm oil is also increasing at a considerable rate. The forecast for 2011 is just under a 60% increase, which I think is a pretty good rate of increase, particularly considering global economic conditions. Now, this is where I get out my crystal ball and start predicting the future. Now, these are predictions, and these are not legally binding. Okay? So I will want these struck out of any minute. A large number of FMCG groups, many of the global companies, have actually made very public, very firm commitments about sourcing CSPO. And as Hida mentioned, the target date, the magic target date, is 2015. Some cases people refer to going through to 2020. But these companies have made very firm commitments, and I know how seriously these commitments are taken within the companies. Speaking personal experience within Kraft, once a commitment is made, we do not back out of it. It becomes, it's very difficult to back out of it, and we only make commitments once we're pretty secure that we are going to be able to achieve it. So I think the fact that the large number of global FMCG companies, and these are just an example, by the way, this is not an exclusive group, so if you're not on there, I apologize, but The slide's too small. Similarly, in terms of the market, a large number of retailers have made commitments about what they expect their suppliers to deliver. And again, knowing retailers, fine upstanding people, they will not accept any backsliding on these commitments. So I think in terms of the market, in terms of demand, there's some very, I think, we can fairly confident that there is a lot of work going on to ensure that these commitments are made. Another of the reasons why we continue to grow is around ensuring sustainable supply. Now, at Kraft Foods, we're putting a lot of focus on long-term sustainable supply of all our commodities. And we buy large quantities of coffee, sugar, tea, cocoa, palm oil, wheat, cereals, whatever. And it's important to us that we have a supply not just next year, but over the next 5, 10, 20 years. And to ensure that we have the supply, we've got to ensure that social, environmental, economic factors are all considered, right down to grower level. So for us, we work across a large number of industry organizations. RSPO is a very good example, but we also work in similar ones in sugar, coffee. And for us, these are very important in establishing sustainable standards which will help secure future supply and future economic prosperity for all aspects of the supply chain. Yet another reason why demand for CSPO is going to continue: legislation. A number of speakers over the last couple of days have made reference to the EU particularly. By 2014, end of 2014, currently palm oil, soy oil, any form of vegetable oil are actually just labeled on pack as vegetable oils. By the end of 2014, we're going to need all ingredients are going to have to list out the exact origin of those oils. They'll have to state whether it's palm oil or soya or rapeseed oil, whatever. So it's going to be very public. The consumer will be able to see very clearly what oil is involved in their product. And this legislation is likely to be followed by, I know Australia are looking at it as well, and I suspect it's going to be rolled out across a large number of markets. And this is important, again, because this will raise consumer awareness, and there'll be a lot of questions asked around whether the palm oil is sustainable or not. Yet another one is the EU Renewable Energy Directive, which is requiring more and more energy for the transport sector to be sourced from biofuels. And palm oil is one of the oils used in biofuels, as well as many others. Yet another reason